Now, of course, the dominant piece of news in the world of entertainment over the past, I guess we're getting close to like 5-6 months, has been that Paramount and its impending, probably taking over of Warner Brothers. Now, there are people trying to stop it. There's lawsuits going on. States' attorney generals are looking at maybe stepping in to stop it. And there's been an open letter, a petition, if you will. And you guys know how I feel about petitions. But a petition, if you will, that has over 4,000 signatures of some very high-profile actors, directors, producers, all saying, we don't think this thing should go through. Well, one of the guys who's near the tip of the spear on that is Mark Ruffalo. And Mark Ruffalo, in a new interview, is just saying that, yeah, a lot of people are signing it. But as this headline in Variety says, Mark Ruffalo says, some Hollywood stars are declining to sign the open letter against the Warner Brothers Paramount merger because they're afraid the studio will blacklist them. The article goes on and says something like this. The most revealing thing about that letter wasn't the people who signed it. It was the people who didn't. Not because they disagreed, but because they're afraid, Ruffalo and Stroller wrote. There are many reasons to block this idea or to block this deal, but we now believe the most fundamental one is what we encountered when asking artists to use their voices: fear, a deep, ugly, and pervasive fear of speaking out. Now, here's the thing. My first reaction to something like this normally is don't make excuses for why people aren't signing your letter. Maybe they just didn't want to sign it because they didn't want to sign it. And by the way, a lot of very big, high-profile key people are signing it, right? They are, but there's a lot who aren't. So just admit there are a lot of people who don't want to sign your petition, and don't make excuses saying, oh, they're just afraid. That's normally what would be my normal first reaction to that. But here's the thing. In this circumstance, he's not wrong, because we have already seen that Paramount is in the revenge and retribution game. They are. Here's an example, and this is key as we go back to this. We heard time and time again from artists when asked to sign this letter that they supported it, but they were afraid of retribution. Their fear is not unjustified, Ruffalo op-ed adds, citing two recent examples of blacklisting that occurred in retaliation, or in relation, but I could say retaliation, to the Paramount merger. Here's the key thing. I want you to follow this, and then we're going to talk about why this is so relevant. When the editorial director of The Ankler, one of the last independent trade magazines, many of you guys are familiar with The Ankler, we cite them all the time, who also founded the publication and serves as one of its columnists, was seen at CinemaCon carrying a bag of block the merger buttons, Paramount reportedly pulled its advertising in response. Ruffalo and Stoller note, one of us, Mr. Ruffalo, was suggested as a guest for a CNN discussion, as a guest on a CNN discussion of the merger, but a producer later said that the network had decided to pass on the segment and reportedly told the organizers behind the letter, it's a delicate subject for us at CNN, given that Warner Brothers Discovery is our parent company, and there are legal considerations around what we can and cannot cover or say while the merger is ongoing. I want to, Rob, go back to this Ankler situation, because I heard about this right after CinemaCon, and it made my toes like burn, like something's wrong here. For those who didn't hear about it, The Ankler is this big news outlet in the industry. They're an inside industry outlet, and they're very good. And one of the founders of the company was at CinemaCon, and there's a photo of him because there were a bunch of these, because, you know, Cinema United, their official stance is that they're against this merger. So the founder of The Ankler was there at CinemaCon, and a picture was taken of him holding a bag of the block the merger buttons. And Paramount's response is chilling. They wanted retribution. They wanted to punish. And so they immediately pulled all their advertising from that thing. And from what I'm told, I cannot personally verify this, but from what I'm told, and others have talked about this publicly, they even started telling some of their talent, you can't do interviews with Ankler. So Paramount is already in the leveraging fear and intimidation and saying, if you oppose us taking over Warner Brothers, we won't forget and it'll come back to get you. Look at what we're doing to Ankler. And Rob, the funny thing is that by doing that, they are validating everything their opponents are saying about them.
Yep.
That one of the risks of this whole thing is that you're going to have this much power, and if they want to decide to get retribution on you, and instead of alleviating those fears, instead of acting in such a way to say, no, that's not what's going to happen, they are literally doing the thing that everybody else is saying we should be afraid of. And here's the problem, Rob. This isn't like some open field. There are fewer and fewer studios now that one can work with. Literally, if you get blacklisted, whether it's officially blacklisted or not, from Paramount and Warner Brothers, you literally just lost like 25 to 30% of your work options in this town, right? It's not like in our fields, like, oh, if you write for one website, who cares? There's 1,000 other ones, go make another. And if none of them want to hire you, make your own. That's not the case here. And so Paramount's already been sending out the message that we are going to strong arm people. And be careful if you express your opinion that you don't think this is a merger that should happen, because we won't forget and we're going to get revenge. There's going to be retribution. And this is a really, really kind of scary story about what the future of the industry might be. Anyway, Rob, you saw this, you heard what Ruffalo's saying, you saw what happened with the Ankler. What's your takeaway from this?
Well, first of all, I mean, the Ankler is supposed to be a news outlet. And by taking a political and social stand against the merger, I think their impartiality as a journalistic outlet was compromised. So I want to say that at first. But on the other hand, the strong arm tactics that Paramount used, I mean, everybody's free to do what they want. We live in a free society. They have shown that they are not open to scrutiny from journalists, much less regulatory boards. I mean, are behind closed doors? Are they going to start threatening people? Is Paramount Warner Brothers going to become some kind of a Cosa Nostra entertainment family or something? I mean, look, it's disappointing to see that they chose to use those tactics rather than be above board and say, you know what, we understand there is great pressure from inside of the industry not to do this. But rather than show why it should be done and how they can benefit the entire industry, they choose what I would say is the coward's way out. Rather than show what you can do to benefit everybody, you have to quash dissent. Because look, we live in a free society where you should be open and transparent to the public. And if you're doing this kind of thing, you're a company that's asking Americans to consider the fact that you're getting Saudi Arabian money, you're getting money from offshore, and you're trying to convince them that you own certain news organizations and then you're not going to be subject to, say, influence from outside organizations that don't necessarily have America's best interests at heart. I mean, and again, we're all descending into the entire world is becoming, this authoritarian universe run by oligarchs. And I guess that's fine if that's what you want to have happen. But it's disappointing to me to see this because, look, I want to see David Ellison, backed by, of course, his father, Larry, who's a very powerful man, to succeed. I want to see Paramount. I want to see the mountain restored to luster. I want to see when I'm watching a movie and the beginning of that movie shows me the Paramount Mountain. My entire life, the Paramount Mountain has given me such joy, whether it was Chinatown, whether it was The Godfather, whether it was the Star Trek movies. whether it was Raiders of the Lost Ark. Whenever I saw whether it was just the fade-in Gulf Plus Western Company or the new Paramount logo with the stars and circle that mountain, or when it got even cooler, when you'd go over, the mountain would become the beginning of Raiders, or you'd go over the mountain and the world would flood, or whatever happened. That was Universal Waterworld. But I loved that, and I would like to continue to believe in those things. But this kind of behavior doesn't instill me with joy.
What do you think about Ruffalo's main, premise here, that he believes that a lot of people, he says he's actually talked to a lot of people that says, I'd love to sign it, but I can't because I'm afraid that now I'm cut out of any movies in Paramount or Warner Brothers. Like, do you think that he has talked a lot? Do you think that is kind of the prevailing fear amongst actors right now?
I do, because as you astutely pointed out, we're having less and less places that are making big budget movies. I mean, Mark Ruffalo is an Academy Award caliber actor whose body of work is exemplary. And, he really has to think about his bread and butter, but that's how authoritarianism works. You instill the fear of God into your population and you turn them into sheep that have to do what you say. And, we're seeing that increasingly happening in this country across many different platforms and many different areas of public life. And I mean, I have to say, I would encourage Mark Ruffalo not to say anything because of this behavior. It's already on display, and they've already made their intentions known. And I would say that the regulatory bodies, when they look into whether they or not this merger should move forward, this should be a concern. Because if this is the way they begin this merger before it's even finished, what are they going to do once it's happened? What are they going to do once Paramount and Warner Brothers become a behemoth that you can't, unlike Fox, which has been making, with the new 20th Century, which has been making sequels. Hopefully Warner Brothers is going to be they're going to be making 30 original movies. Everybody's going to want to work for them. It's just not a great look. And I think Mark Ruffalo was not really given much of a choice.
When you're going to be $80 billion in debt like they are, I don't know if they're going to be around for very long anyway, but we shall see. Guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? With already 4,000 signatures on that thing, and not that I give two squats about petitions, but Mark Ruffalo is saying there's a number of actors in Hollywood are saying they're just afraid to sign it because Paramount has already exhibited that they'll carry out retribution if you speak out against a business move like a merger. I don't know. This is kind of chilling stuff. Anyway, whatever you guys think about it, jump down to the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure you like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget, we have a daily podcast called the John Campea Show Podcast, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app of choice. Go and subscribe to it today so it'll be there when you need it.